Alright guys, we're going to be going through a couple different acrylic painting techniques today. Just a couple things before we get started. Acrylic paints will stain your clothes if you get them on your clothes. So if at any point during class this happens to you, you just need to hop up and grab a little bit of soap and water and just scrub at your clothes to get the stain out. If you don't do that, it's going to set in your clothes and the stain will be there forever. So we're going to be working with a couple different brushes today. Every table should have one of these guys. This is called a cat's tongue. That's the name of the brush. Kind of a weird name. This is a square-headed brush. This is an angled brush. And then this is a tapered brush. So you guys should have a couple of these at every table. I tried to put out different sizes too. So we all are going to just be working with the primary colors today plus black and white just to keep things simple. We're going to start by doing a hue, a tint, and a shade. So I'm going to just go with red, but you guys can use any red, blue, or yellow. And I'm going to start by just making a hue. So a hue is just a regular color by itself. Okay? Now a tint is when you take red plus white, or blue plus white, or yellow plus white. Any color plus white is a tint. So it basically is the lighter version of your color. I'm going to rinse out my brush, dry it off, and then we're going to do a shade. So you can probably guess, but shade is your hue plus black. And you really don't need a lot of black when you do this. Just a little bit. So that's your hue plus black, and it should make a darker version of your color. So when we do our monochromatic skeleton project, you guys are going to be making a hue, a tint, and a shade. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is a blend. So I'm just going to pick a clean spot on my paper. I'm still going to use the square head brush, but you could also use your cat's tongue brush. So a blend's basically when you're taking one color, so I'm going to start with red, and I'm going side to side. And then I'm going to go into yellow. You usually want to blend with colors that will look nice together, that are usually in the same color family. So red and yellow are both warm colors, so they'll blend nicely. And when they meet in the middle here, I'm just going back and forth with my brush to blend them out. So the more you overlap, the more blended it's going to look. So that's a blend. Next one is called crisscross. And I am going to switch to my tapered brush. I'm going to go into a little blue, maybe some yellow, and some white. Crisscross technique is where you just load some paint onto your brush and then you're basically making a bunch of sloppy X shapes back and forth to make it look really multi-dimensional and textured. So you could do this with 3 colors, you could do this with 2 colors. This is a cool technique to use if you're trying to add texture to your piece. And you really don't, unlike the blend technique, you do not want to blend this out. We want to leave all the colors there so you can see all the different tones. This next technique is more of just a basic tip for you. So I'm going to use my angled brush because it's got this nice straight edge, and we're actually going to use this brush on the skinny part to outline. So these brushes are really good for outlining because they're nice and skinny. You can really outline with any brush as long as you shape the brush with your fingers first. So I just pinch, maybe with a little bit of water on my fingers, and shape my brush. So I'm going to go in with some black. I've got black on either side of my brush, and I'm going to use this brush to outline. So I'm just going to practice a couple times. Outlining would be really good on a project. If maybe you just need to make it look a little neater, you can go back and outline some of your stuff. And the harder you press for an outline, the fatter the line will be, so keep that in mind. Alright, next one's called Sgraffito. So Sgraffito, I'm just gonna paint, this looks better with darker colors, this one. So I'm just gonna do a section of blue. And then each table will have palette knives. So these are really good tool when we're painting, so we're gonna use them for Sgraffito. So all you're gonna do is take your knife and you're gonna scratch some designs into your paint. And it doesn't have to make anything special, but you could, you know, make a design or something. So Sgraffito is a cool one too if you want to add texture that way. The next one is called Impasto. So Impasto is fun because you're going to use your palette knife for the entire thing. I'm going to pick up maybe a little bit of, I like to do a couple colors for this one. And you're going to use your palette knife to put the paint down. And I'm not over blending it, I'm just kind of letting the paint sit and then moving on to the next section. Okay, so that's called Impasto. And then the last technique is called stippling. So I'm going to use my tapered brush again. And stippling is also a mark making technique that we use sometimes when we draw. But it's basically when you're just adding texture. They're kind of like little dots. And if I want to make it look darker, I'll put my dots closer together. If I want my stippling to look lighter, maybe I'll put them further out. They're kind of like blobs. They do not need to be perfect dots. They can be imperfect. Okay, but those are just a couple different techniques to help you guys get started on your painting. Every time we go to paint, you need to make sure that you're washing out your brushes in the water cup and then reshaping them with your fingers so all of the bristles stay nice and crisp because we are using brand new brushes. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you.